Now, before I start talking about Rachel Reeves, because I'm afraid, I just wanted to say where I am, because I'm at this. I'm outside a little restaurant called Chez Louis, which is just off the Portobello Road, and it is utterly charming. More than that, it does a great tea and hugely charming staff. Sadly, I'm not staying for dinner because they've got an event on this evening, but the menu looks impeccable. So if you have the opportunity of being in this area, just off Notting Hill, as I say, within spitting distance of the Portobello Road, I go through life looking for kindness and looking for charm, and here it is. Anyway, in contrast to all that, let's get down to the business. It's rare, I think, in British politics that the Office for National Statistics brings a Chancellor anything other than grief. Yet, just as Rachel Reeves seemed condemned to a bleak November, facing a fiscal hole of 20 to 40 billion pounds, bond market nerves and a chorus of investors warning her wafer thin 9.9 billion pound headroom was reckless, the ONS has handed her a modest but symbolically potent reprieve. And this week, the Statistics Agency admitted it overstated government borrowing by a cumulative £3 billion since January because of incorrect VAT data supplied by HM Revenue and Customs. Monthly borrowing has been running at 200 to 500 million lower than was first thought. Last year's deficit was 1 billion smaller, and borrowing from April to August this year 2 billion lighter. The sums do not transform the public finances significantly. Britain has still borrowed £81.8 billion so far this fiscal year, almost 10 billion above the Office for Budget Responsibility's March forecast. Debt still towers above 2.7 trillion, and Reeves must still find huge savings or tax rises to satisfy her core fiscal rule that day-to-day spending must be fully funded by tax by 2029 to 2030. Yet politics often runs on marginal changes and narratives, and the ONS revision allows the Chancellor to claim momentum at a moment when pessimism was calcifying. So markets have begun to fret about the credibility of UK data itself. The ONS has recently overestimated inflation, postponed retail sales figures, and been publicly scolded by the Bank of England. That VAT error, though embarrassing for HMRC, at least shows the system catching mistakes early and correcting transparently. James Benford, the ONS's Director General, was quick to thank HMRC for flagging the problem. That is small but important. It's a boost for institutional trust, just as Reeves tries to steady gilt investors. I find this, broadly speaking, quite a positive move all round. I mean, it's not great news, but it shows a change in heart where people are prepared to admit that they've made a mistake rather than hide behind their authority. It also buys Rachel Reeves a little rhetorical room against growing pressure. PIMCO's Andrew Balls and BlackRock's Simon Blundell have urged her to create a much bigger fiscal buffer than the slim margin she has twice left herself, arguing that thin headroom invites volatility and forces constant tax and spend tinkering. And Treasury officials know that to build such a cushion would mean more tax rises or spending cuts now, a politically brutal choice for a Labour government that promised not to raise income tax, VAT or employee national insurance again after last year's £40 billion raid. Yes, so there is relief in Whitehall that the £3 billion revision gives Reeves a narrative pivot. The books are not quite as bad as feared. It may soften the ground if she decides to push more unpopular measures, such as lifting the two-child benefit cap or tweaking alcohol duties, floated by the IPPR to tackle productivity sapping workplace drinking, rather than headline income tax rises. It also rebuts Conservative taunts that Labour's first year has been fiscally reckless. Still, the fundamental challenge remains. The OBR is expected to downgrade productivity in November, widening the gap that she must close. So Mel Stride, the Tory shadow chancellor, has already speculated that Reeves will have little choice but to breach her tax pledges. Bond markets they want clarity. Voters dread more austerity or stealth taxes, and the Chancellor's fiscal rules demand balance. But in politics, timing matters. A Chancellor approaching a crunch budget battered by headlines about black holes and broken promises can at least point to an official body saying the hole is a little shallower, it's a little narrower, it's not salvation, but in the season of grim fiscal arithmetic, Rachel Reeves, I suppose, will take any glimmer of good news that she can get. I suppose she's become a little needy. Now she realises nobody cares very much about whether she's going to cry or not. But I cannot imagine that even this little ray of sunshine is going to sap the tears in the next year. I think we're going to have the hankies out again, believe me.